when it comes to kids, you have to be a united front as parents. And that means you're on the same team with each other. You're not on opposite teams. And I see this dynamic happen a lot in relationships. Now, not always the case, but normally the husband's the one that goes to work and the wife is the one that stays home with the kids. And what happens is that the husband loses authority and respect around the home because the wife is the one who tends to deal with everything throughout the day. The kids listen to her. She's the one who disciplines, who tells them what to do, who makes the lunches. And so kids begin to lose respect for their dad if he's not there to step in as the parent when needed. So being a united front as a couple is being on the same page with each other when it comes to discipline and your kids. And I see this dynamic happen a lot with relationships where the husband begins to feel like that he doesn't have a purpose in his family anymore. He feels replaced. He's like, well, if I can't discipline or I can't tell them what to do or I don't have a voice or I can't talk about what's going on, then he begins to feel like, what's the point? Why do I do all of this? If you guys just had a paycheck and I wasn't here, you would be totally fine. You wouldn't need me. You see, and men derive purpose from their families and from the people around them. They do it for them. That's the purpose of everything. That's why we do it, is we want to provide a lifestyle. We want to provide a way of living. We want to provide things and resources and experiences from our family, but we also want to be a part of it. And if we're not a part of it, then what's the point? Why even do it? And this happens, the dynamic changes when there's contention and conflict between a couple and they can't seem to figure this part out to be on the same team. And how it shows up is this. If the husband or the father tries to discipline the children and the wife comes over and interferes or intervenes and steps in the way, this is the absolute worst thing that could happen for the kids, because now they don't respect dad, and now dad doesn't matter, and mom's going to step in and be the one who's actually in charge. And what it does is it makes the husband feel undermined and unappreciated, and he feels disrespected that in his own home he doesn't have the ability to discipline or to direct things in a way that he feels is best. And what this does is it causes the husband to disconnect and check out. And when he's disconnected and checked out, he gets to that point where he's like, what's the purpose? Why am I even doing this? What's the point of all of this? That is the worst thing that you can do as a couple, is undermine each other in front of the children, because you lose respect for one another and you lose respect from the children because of that. And I see it happen time and time again, that the wife will come over and she will undermine her. Don't say it like that. You need to be nicer. Your voice is a little bit too loud. Maybe. And now, I'm not saying that anything goes. Don't get me wrong there. As a trauma therapist, there are lines that cannot be crossed, right? So, yeah, if dad's breaking stuff on the walls or he's fear of hitting the kids, then yeah, that's definitely not okay. But men and women are meant to be pairs with each other, okay? They're meant to do things differently. They're not meant to be the same. Dad is meant to discipline different than mom is meant to discipline. Dad is meant to talk different than mom is meant to talk. And dad is meant to do things differently in the way that he connects with his children than mom is done differently. That's why we are made in pairs. So yes, maybe the father gets a little bit more upset. Yes, maybe he gets a little bit more emotional. Maybe he even raises his voice a little bit. And as long as within appropriate bounds, don't undermine it. Don't cut him down. Instead, if it really is an issue, go talk about it after. Go say, hey, while you were talking to our kid about this, I feel like that I know you were passionate, I know you wanted to help, but I feel like the way you went about it maybe wasn't the best. Would it be okay, or would you be open to doing it this way instead? And let's see if we try it that way. And either it says yes or no, right? But here's the thing. I've seen a lot of dynamics of women who are reading books, who are listening to podcasts, who are doing workbooks, courses, whatever it is, and now they're relationship and parenting experts on Instagram who are all telling them what to do. And so women are getting all of these things, and then they're looking at their husband like he's not up to my level, or he doesn't know how to do it, and he needs to learn and be a better parent. Yeah, maybe, But the interesting thing about those, do you know who writes those books? Do you know who does those courses? Do you know who makes those workbooks? Women. Mental health professionals, parenting professionals, they're all women. Majority of them. Now, there are a few men out there, you bet. I'm not going to totally dismiss it, but majority of them are women. And the way that they go about things is learning how to do it for women. When's the last podcast or book that you read that said, hey, as a man, this is how you connect to your son? As a man, this is how you help your son turn from a boy into a man, and the right way of doing it. All of those things are written from women. So yeah, when a woman finds them, reads it, likes it, and wants to teach your husband, some of those principles just don't resonate. They just don't connect because that's not how men do things. Now, can they learn? You bet. We all can learn how to be better parents, how to connect better with our kids, and how to be on the same team as adults and parents in our families. But the statistics are really clear about this. And the statistics are that single parent households, in particular single parent households with women, single mom households, the statistics are up there, okay? Single parent households with women, children are more likely to be incarcerated, they're more likely to have criminal charges, they're more likely to get in drugs, they're more likely to have early teen pregnancies. They're more likely to have these things because there's not a strong male role model in the house who can help step into these things. And that's where this point comes down to. It's not the absence of strong role models that are men in these homes. It's the absence of the way that men discipline and connect to their children that really is the factor here. That's what's missing, okay? So yes, maybe dads get a little bit more emotional. Maybe they yell. Maybe they get upset. But instead of undermine it, don't do it that way. Be softer. You're upsetting the kids. We don't say things that way in our home. Why don't you then afterwards and say, hey, you know what? I know that you're at work and maybe there's a little bit of a gap here. I have come to find that with this particular kid, they respond better in this way, in the way that you say it. And maybe if you give it a try that way, he might listen better or she might listen better, right? But you can't undermine the husband. That is, first and foremost, the easiest way for a man to disconnect in his relationship, and he's out. And once he's out, and there's what's the point? Why am I doing this? That's when we really tear apart and go our distance, and it just gets worse from there. So if you're in a relationship and you tend to do this, stop, knock it off. You guys got to be on the same page. You got to support one another. You got to find a way to communicate, give each other signals. In my relationship, when I get upset or I get emotional or my wife does the same, we have a signal that we give each other. And the signal comes in and that, hey, I can see that you're at your limit. Why don't you take a break or take a breath? Let me take over for a second. We tag. Hey, I can see you're upset. I can see you're at your limit. I got this. Let me get this. Go take a breath, and then you hop back in when you're ready. And what that does is, it helps us feel that we're supported by each other. It helps us feel that we're on the same team and we have the same goal and we have the same purpose that we're working towards. And two, it helps us to check ourselves and be a little bit more aware about where we are at within our emotions and how we handle them. It does not come across as you're doing it wrong, calm down. No, it's, hey, I can see where you're at and I want to check in with you. I want to support you. I want to back you, whatever that is. And that's huge. That is huge, okay? Men in relationships need to know that they are backed, okay? They need to know that they have a partner who's going to be there for them, not undermine them. Because yes, he is out of the home. Maybe he isn't privy to everything in exact way that it goes and how it's done. But he needs to be able to check back into the family when that time comes. And men, for you too, you got to be able to check back in. You got to plug back into your family rather than saying, my family can function without me. They don't really need me. Go play the victim. They're your family. Do it. Step in. Love them. Check in. Be there for them. Okay? So, I've gone on a little bit of a rant. This is how I do it. This is how I think about things. But if in a relationship you are struggling with undermining conflict or not feeling on the same page as a couple, try this. This might be the reason why, and see what it does for you moving forward. Out.